Welcome to the Horns Up Podcast, your home for all thing Los Angeles Rams. I'm your host, Johan, and this is my co-host, Ruin, right here. You can find us on our socials at Rams Nation and Puka Nakua Lover 12. From breaking news to game breakdowns, hot takes to honest fan reactions, we're here to bring you the highs, the lows, and everything in between. If you bleed blue and gold, this is your spot. All right. What's up, Ruin? How are we feeling today? How are we feeling about the Rams?
I'm feeling good, man.
Feeling good?
We're really starting to get into the season, man. I'm getting
Oh,
hyped.
yeah. The hype's definitely starting to kick in, the butterflies are starting to kick in a little bit. We're starting to really get into the time of the season where it's like, okay, football is coming back. And the first step of that, training camp. And as we know, some people might not know, but if they've been keeping up, they know that you were actually at training camp this past week. So why don't you go ahead and
Yep.
tell us a little bit how training camp was? Tell us
All right.
so
Training camp was so lit. Like I remember the first year I went, it was the last year they did in Irvine. I remember
yeah.
just watching. I didn't get any autographs or anything because we left like straight when practice was over. But I remember just watching, and it was pretty cool. And then we didn't go last year, but this year, I met some of the guys from like some of like the Remley group chats. Got some autographs. Uh, got some on this mini helmet. There'll be pictures on edited in, but Kobe Durant, Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, Quentin Lake, Rob Havenstein. Those are just some of the guys who signed my helmet, and it was just all around a fun experience. Quentin Lake dapped me up, so that was kind of like
Sweet.
one of the highlights of my day. But
Sweet. I gotta ask you, out of everyone you met, who was your favorite player? Who was the coolest with you?
it's kind of like I would say it's like a Steve Avila's really like not like my guy. It was really cool like being next to Steve Avila worshiper, like just because I was kind of just hanging out with him the whole time.
Right.
But we like giving the actual rug to Steve Avila was kind of cool. I wouldn't say he's like my favorite guy though. I would say
And shout out Steve Avila Worshipper. That's
yeah,
one
exactly.
of
Hey,
our
shout
friends
out
on the
Josh, bro.
podcast. Shout out.
Yeah, but I would say it's like a two-way tie between like yeah, it's a tie between Quentin Lake and Kobe Durant. I didn't get Quentin Lake signing my helmet on camera. I wish I did because he dapped me up like that.
Right.
That would have been the coolest video in my entire camera.
Sick.
But I told both Quentin Lake and Kobe Durant I'm buying their jersey. So I might I don't think I will because I don't got money like that. I but uh no training camp was so lit. I mean it was definitely one of the best experiences I've had.
Sounds awesome. I wish I could have been at training camp. Unfortunately, I missed out. But hopefully next year, I can get in training camp, or maybe if someone has a couple extra tickets, leave a comment down in the comments or DM us. But yeah, training camp, let's get into it. Obviously, most important thing at training camp, biggest headline, Matthew Stafford not participating. Do you have any thoughts about that? I'm sure you was Stafford there at training camp or he wasn't there?
Yeah, that the one thing that was kind of weird is, I mean, I remember just looking around, just being like, and just talking to people that I was with, being like, "Hey, is Stafford here?" And
Right.
I really didn't see much of Stafford. I think he was rehabbing or something, but he wasn't there when I was there. He was. I think I did see something on Instagram today. I think First and Tuna posted. Shout out Tuna, by the way.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I think First and Tuna he put he's been on the field. He's got field access,
Right.
media access, and all that. But he posted that Matthew Stafford indeed was in attendance for today's
Mhm.
practice. But
Mhm.
even with Stafford gone, I mean, the backup QBs, Garoppolo's been with the first team, Stetson with the second team, and Dresser Wynn kind of coming in here and then. But they've been holding down the fort, man. They really impressed me, especially Stetson, man.
That's great to hear because, Stafford, I mean, diehard fans know Stafford. He's always a little banged up, He's always playing. I don't think he's always playing 100%. In most of the games last year, especially down the road, in the Eagles game we saw too, Stafford, he definitely wasn't 100%. And it brings the question, are we going to see any of our backup QBs play? And hopefully we don't, but just in case, it's good to see what they got. It's good to see, like a firsthand view of what our backups can do. And I heard a lot of talk about Stetson. I heard a lot of talk about, Jimmy G, which is it's good to hear. As much as we don't want to see Jimmy G on the field, if he did have to go on the field, I think he's our number one option right now. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, out of just all of the QBs I watched, those three, Garoppolo definitely by far was the best. But I
Right,
mean, don't be fooled by Stetson, man. I mean, he really hasn't been great in the past, in preseason, but he didn't look terrible. That's all I'm gonna say. But um, I've also just been seeing videos and just come kind of comparing to what I saw when I was there.
right,
And it's really just been so far, it's just been the Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams show. Wearing repping the Devontae Adams jersey today, but
nice.
it's really just been those two. Puka's getting the usual, the
Right.
King Puka. He's been getting the usual grabs and whatnot. But really, a lot of people, one of the biggest talking points is that Devonte Adams is just really like starting to show out, and
Mhm.
I think that's very, you can really see that if you look at him.
I think it's really important for Devontae Adams to do good in this offense. He has a pretty big role cut out for him. You're coming in and right off the bat replacing Cooper Kupp, a fan favorite. Production wise, I mean Cooper Kupp, he's kind of been going down every year, but still, I mean coming in as Devontae Adams, I mean it's not so easy for him either. He has to come in and replace a fan favorite, take on a big role, learn the new offense. And I'm sure McVay and Stafford and Puka, they're all helping him break in. But at the end of the day, Devontae, he does have to show up in this offense because we saw how Puka was when he was by himself last year. We've seen
Yeah,
we've seen what it is when we're getting no other receiver help from Puka. And Devontae Adams, he's really going to need to help out this year. So it is good to see him starting off on a high note at camp. And speaking of high notes and camp, let's talk about some of our breakouts from camp. Some of our guys that we have written down here, we have Omar Spates, Kanata Mumpfield, Emmanuel Forbes. Who should we get into first?
I really want to start. I want to talk about Forbes because he's one of the guys that I really saw
Right.
just he's really had to step up.
Hmm.
Of course, last year acquired him mid-season. He didn't really have a huge role
Hmm.
in the defense, but I mean, just being at training camp, watching around, he was getting the majority of the reps. He was getting first team reps. So, and I think that's really big for him. I think he's really just taken a step up, and I think he can be a sneaky good corner this year.
Yeah, I hope so because I was actually doing a little bit of research before this, and Emmanuel Forbes on PFF. I don't know if you're a big PFF guy or if you.
I'm I don't really look at PFF. I probably should start if I'm
Right.
going to be on the podcast and trying to inform people and not look like a dumbass. But
Yeah, but anyways, I was on PFF and I was looking at some of his grades. He was ranked the 211th best cornerback out of 222. So, if you look at the stats and analytics, Forbes, he's been horrible. I mean, that's the only way to put it. But I think the Rams are definitely embracing him. I feel like, the Commanders, they were before the season, they were kind of a laughing stock of the league, always just mid, not really doing anything. But I feel like ever since he's came to the Rams, he's the whole perspective on him has changed. He has a lot of potential, and fans are recognizing that. Coaches are recognizing that. He's starting to get more opportunities. A lot of people are starting to talk about his name in a positive light. And from training camp, I mean, I wasn't there, but I've seen a lot of clips, and Emmanuel Forbes, he looks great, which. For the cornerback room that would be amazing if Emmanuel Forbes was able to step up because right now, it's really controversial. A lot of people would think we're okay, but with the cornerback room, I feel like we do need someone to at least step up, or we need to go out there and upgrade.
yeah, and Emmanuel Forbes, he was kind of just everywhere on the field. I mean, he was making breakup after breakup. I remember just seeing countless plays. Him and Whittington were kind of two guys that were really just taking steps up and really just battling. Like
Right.
every rep was really just as good as a rep in a game. I mean, they were battling like everything was on the line,
Mhm.
which I mean is always good to see. And kind of backtracking to Emmanuel Forbes's his ranking, his PFF ranking. I I don't really think it's fair to rank him because he was released mid-season and then had to get on a new team, learn a new defense, and still try to provide. But this year, he's going into his first offseason with the Rams, first training camp, and probably, hopefully, his first full season with the Rams. So I think he's due for a breakout year. I think he can make the team. Well, no shit, make the team, but I'm make the first string maybe as like the QB3, but not QB. I'm losing it today, man.
CB3, CB3.
CB. I always get it mixed up. CB and QB.
Well, Emmanuel Forbes, he's definitely gonna have a lot of opportunity more this season. He's definitely gonna, have his chances to go out there and show what he can prove. But I want to take this time to switch over to the other side of the ball. Instead of a corner, we're gonna be talking about wide receiver and Kanata Mumpfield. I don't know if you guys know, but most of you probably do if you're a diehard Rams fan and you're obviously watching this. But Kanata Mumpfield, he was a seventh round pick out of Pitt from this past draft. With We have a pretty loaded wide receiver room already. We have obviously Puka, Devontae, and then we have our guys under that, Jordan Whittington, we have Tutu Atwell, and then after that, I think Kanata Munfield's one of the next guys up. But when you're in a room with elite guys like that and some other talented guys, Kanata Munfield, he's really gonna have to earn everything he gets. And at camp, I mean, he looked pretty solid. He looked like he can possibly move up this wide receiver depth chart sooner than later, right?
Yeah, and one big thing I saw with Konate is just he was getting after it, man. He was getting a ton of separation. He was almost looking like 2021 Cooper Cup, the way he was getting some separation on some of the plays. I mean, granted, it was against the second string corners,
Right.
which, aren't the best in the league for sure. But I mean, it definitely was impressive just seeing him go out there and have that level of separation. And he's pretty shifty, man. He can make some plays you wouldn't think he can make.
Yeah, he has some nice hands too. He has some nice body control. Kanata Mumpfield, one of his biggest things coming out of college was how great of a playmaker he is. There's some clips of him from Pitt where you're left wondering after watching, like, how did he catch that? How was that a touchdown? And I think we're really starting to see that out of Kanata Mumpfield. And this is barely training camp. This isn't the regular season yet. So it's looking really good. And then our last guy that we're going to bring up is Omar Spates, who last year took a big jump. And this year, I mean, it's looking like he's taking an even bigger jump. Omar Spates, how's his year two offseason looking?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway, at least I could see, and a lot of other people I've seen online have seen from Omar Spates is that he's really turning into a field general. I mean, he can fully take command of that defense if he needs to, which I don't think he will because you have guys like Jared Verse, like Kobe Turner.
Right.
So I don't think he's going to need to take full command of that defense. But if we were in a pinch, say we were down a guy or two to injury, he really could take a step up and he could deliver in some key moments.
Yeah, Omar Speights, he took a big step last year. I mean, going from undrafted free agent to our starting linebacker at the end of the year, I mean, that's something that we don't see too much from the Rams, especially at linebacker. The Rams, they've been really comfortable at linebacker for the longest time. The only real move that they've made at linebacker was signing Bobby Wagner a couple years ago. Other than that, they've really just not cared about the linebacker position. But it's good to see them starting to give it attention now because we really got exposed in the last game of the season against the Eagles. And I think that was the wake-up call for the Rams saying, you know what? This linebacker room is horrible and we need to start over. First move, getting rid of Christian Roseboom. He signed elsewhere. And then you bring in a guy like Nate Landman. You sign an undrafted free agent like Sean Dolak. And then, as we're talking about, you have our guy Omar Speights, who we've only seen 1 year, but for him to go from an undrafted free agent to making the 53-man roster to then, doing great in his reps and then being a starter, all of that in his rookie year, and we have more to come from him. I feel really good about Omar Speights in year two.
Yeah, and I kind of want. Speaking of linebackers, I kind of want to just take this time to talk about. I kind of communicated with First and Tuna a little bit. Again, shout out Tuna.
Yeah, shout out.
Cool dude. Go follow him, First and Tuna. He's got a podcast, Instagram account, everything. But I communicated about Chris Paul Jr. because he's not a guy. I don't think I saw him at all at training camp,
Right.
and I kind of hit him up, DM'd him on Instagram, like, "Hey, what have you seen from Chris Paul Jr.? I don't really think I saw him out there when I was there." And he said, "No, he hasn't practiced at all. I think he's dealing with something, but I don't know for sure." So that is one thing to note is that Pooh Paul he really hasn't been out there and he hasn't been able to show any of his skills. But I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
it's
unfortunate because I don't know if you guys have been following with me or if you follow my page, Rams Nation, but I'm really high on Chris Paul Jr. I think that he's going to be a stud. And, I hope he can do great, but for him not to be at his first training camp, I kind of hope it's an injury or something serious because for him not to be here is like, dude, like what are you doing? You're a rookie, all the other rookies are here. But yeah, definitely a big fan of Pooh Paul. Hopefully he comes back soon and we could see him in action. But yeah, definitely a lot to talk about in the linebacker room compared to last year. Last year you were stuck with the same old guys that we're sick of. And look at this. We went from Christian Roseboom and Troy Reader to Omar Speights and Nate Landman slash Pooh Paul.
don't say that name.
Yeah.
Don't. I hope he doesn't make the roster. I'm praying he doesn't make the roster, man.
Yeah. I don't know how that one linebacker still makes the roster every year, but
No, yeah.
it's a whole different story for another
If
day.
he was signing autographs when I was at training camp, I would have taken my helmet away from him. So he didn't touch my helmet. But
Here we're not the biggest fans
no,
of
no,
the
not at all.
linebacker.
But kind of moving on. We kind of just those are just a minority of names that have been showing up at training camp and showing out. There's still more to talk about, but I mean, it would just drag on and drag on. But last thing, actually, there's actually two more things we're going to talk about. But one of the last things I want to talk about here is the rivalry uniforms, which
Mhm.
I myself have personally been hyped for, and I've been waiting all summer ever since they were announced at draft night for just a sneak peek at them. There really hasn't been any news of them since they got revealed, and what
Until
do you
now,
know?
we did get some news recently.
What do you know? We get the teaser trailers. I think he'll edit them in, but if he edits them in, they'll be like right now.
Yeah.
But no, that those trailers, man, they're really cool and confirms my suspicion of the uniforms is right. We're gonna get a blackout or like a navy blue,
Finally, man.
which
We've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been a huge advocate for the Rams getting black jerseys. I know they have those fake ones that a lot of people buy and offer up, those Super Bowl black ones. And I mean, those aren't even bad. But for the Rams to officially drop a black uni, hopefully, I hope it's not like a dark blue or anything, a black uni like this, I think it's gonna look really sick. But there is one thing that I do have a complaint about. This whole uniform thing is about rivalries, right? It's our rivalry edition uniform. So don't you think the Rams rightfully deserve to wear them against their biggest rival, especially recently, which is the San Francisco 49ers?
yeah, and that's one of the things that when the schedules when they first release like the schedule of games for the
Right.
rivalry uniforms that will like when they'll be worn, I was really confused. And I mean, I think every team in the NFC West plays the Seahawks
Yeah, for their
for the
rivalry.
rivalry, which
Like they're just
um
ganging up on the Seahawks at this point.
yeah, but I feel like it should have been Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, but
Yeah.
because the Rams and 49ers, I mean, if you ask the 49ers, they're probably going to say their biggest rival of recently, of the last 5, 6 years, it's going to be the Rams. They're not going to say the Seahawks. They're not going to. They're for sure not going to say the Cardinals because the Cardinals haven't done shit ever.
Yeah, the Cardinals.
But
They're just like the little brother of the NFC West. But
yeah,
as a Rams fan, you can't hate on them. You have to love them, especially after what they did for us, for the wild card game and everything.
yeah,
And I
and
mean, the
I'm not
Cardinals
an
never
active
really beat the
Cardinal hater.
Rams. So, I mean, it's not too much. There's no hate really coming from
Yeah,
Rams
they're
fans towards Cardinals.
not from me, and I don't think from you either.
Yeah.
Chill fan base, and kind of mid team, so there's nothing to really worry about there. But uh,
The Niners, I mean, I think without a doubt, if you ask 9 out of 10 Rams fans, I mean, they would all say that, the Niners are the Rams' rival. I mean, you could make a case for the Seahawks, but I feel like that was more of our main rivalry when Jared Goff was still here. I feel like that's when the rivalry was really on between us because that's when the games were close. That's when we would split the series every year. That's when, games would go all the way to the last minute. But I feel like ever since we've got Stafford, I mean, unless we're playing our backups, the Seahawks aren't really doing too much against us recently.
yeah, and I feel like you the point is there. You could ask 10 out of 10 Rams fans, they would probably say, yeah, the game should be against the Ram or 49ers. And then I also just think you can go to any 49er fan and be like, who's the 49ers' biggest rival of like the past couple years, and it would be the Rams
Right.
because the games have been closest. They've played in the NFC Championship.
Division
Uh, the
rivals.
49ers used to handle us every year. Now
Yeah.
we're kind of on the handling end quite a
I
bit.
the tides have turned, right?
Yeah, so I really think that the game should have been against the 49ers, but um I'm fine with uh the game not being against the 49ers at home because I want the stadium to be kind of blackout,
Right.
not red out like it usually is when they come to town. That pisses me off so much. I always hate that.
Yeah,
But
that's one thing that as a Rams fan, I hate. I hate it when our stadium has more red than blue, when we play the Niners. But you got to give props to Rams fans. I feel like, Rams fans have been starting to show up more to games throughout the past couple years. I feel like every year you're starting to see more fans, and it feels like an actual home game. Like if you look at the Cardinals game from last year, the one later in the year, obviously not the one when we got whooped. But if you look at the Cardinals game, like that last fourth quarter, it was loud. Like the fan atmosphere was there. And that's something that us Rams fans can't say that we've had the opportunity to have. So, I really think the Rams are starting to grow, not only as an organization with their players, but also creating their fan base. I'm starting to see more and more Rams fans by the day, I feel like.
yeah, and kind of just backtracking towards that those Cardinals games. Funny story about the first Cardinals game from this last year. I was at Applebee's and they had the game on the TV, and I just see Tre'Davious White, my least favorite Ram, probably of all time,
Yeah.
just
That
getting
was
toasted by Marvin Harrison Jr. I went to the bathroom and I snapped my phone case in half. Not even a Rams phone case, just a random clear phone case, and I just snapped it in half and walked back, and I just ate my lunch in silence. But
Seems like that's what a Tre'Davious White on the Rams kind of did.
yeah,
That I think we can all agree that was a failed experiment, badly.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But
Kello came in as soon as, he was gone and he just immediately was 10 times better. So, shout out to him.
okay, I just got a notification from ESPN on my phone. Matthew Stafford will not return to practice next week as anticipated. So
Wow.
Matthew
Live news
Stafford
right
will
here.
will not be returning.
You
So
guys are
we
getting an
can
extra bonus segment right here.
we yeah, that I feel like there's not gonna be a lot to talk about that. It's just kind of it is what it is. But he's just now with that just hearing that he's gonna have to sit out.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly,
no shit, he's gonna have to
yeah.
say. But I'm just this got me fucked up. But he's gonna he just needs to rest up, I guess. And you know,
Honestly, I feel like I'm not too concerned, honestly. I have faith in Stafford. I mean, when it's your 17th year and you've been elite basically every single year, I don't mind if you're not going to practice in training camp. Stafford, he's proven that he's the leader. He's our guy. And, he's always banged up, as we were talking about earlier in our Stafford segment. So I'm not too worried about this. I feel like give him the time. We should give him the space and the time that he needs because is there anything that Stafford really needs to learn?
I
Is
mean,
there,
not really. He's going into his fifth year
yeah,
with the Rams, his fifth training camp. But that's just unfortunate. And kind of going back to the rivalry uniforms, just I'm gonna have you put up a picture of my it was lazy, but I kind of just put up a concept on the screen. Here it is right here. But uh, just kind of as an overview for the rivalry uniforms. I think it'll be cool, and I think it will generate a lot of you know
yeah, a lot of
good good things. But last kind of segment that we're gonna kind of move into right here. The Rams are reportedly eyeing Arch Manning. What do you think about that?
I think that's interesting. I think Arch Manning, he's still 2 years out of the draft. I honestly don't think he goes in this year's draft unless, he has this miracle season at Texas where let's say they win the Natty and, he's amazing. But honestly, I feel like he's 2 years out. So us having that second round pick this upcoming year, if Arch doesn't declare, I mean, I don't know where the Rams really go. And I know I'm kind of getting off track here about just Arch Manning, but in those reports, they've said that the Rams have interest in Arch Manning, which leads to obviously having interest in a new quarterback. So Arch Manning, I mean, just the last name Manning in LA in a Rams uniform with McVay learning behind Stafford, like it doesn't get more Hollywood than that, I would say.
No, it doesn't get better than that at all. But
That's something straight out of a
um,
movie.
I think the Rams really are going to be heavily involved. With just Texas as a whole. I feel like Texas is going to be one of them. Because I'm going to watch a lot of college football this year.
Right.
A lot of teams that are set to have the top guys like Clemson, Cade Klubnik. Uh, Obviously Texans are Texas, Arch Manning, South Carolina,
College football
Lenora
is going to be really
Sellers.
interesting this year. There's going to
But
be a lot of guys to look out for.
it's going to be a lot to watch and a lot to study if you're a Rams fan and podcasters like us. But I think the Rams really are going to try to make that work. And if it doesn't work, they're going to cut their losses and they're gonna shoot for the next best thing.
Right, yeah. So I think the
Which
next best thing would be maybe like Lenora Sellers, maybe.
I think Lenore Sellers is kind of reminds me a bit of Jalen Milroe. I mean, he has the athleticism and the potential, but I feel like he will need to learn in order to be kind of the next franchise guy and not
I feel
like a
like
Sam Bradford.
I feel like some of the elite QB prospects in college right now, they're all 2 years out. They're not really coming up for this next draft unless they do really good.
Yeah, I think if Arch Manning really does go off this year, I think he's going to sit down with McVay and Snead, and they're going to have a thing. Be like, all right, this year, if you come out this year, we're going to draft you in the first round. You're going to sit 1 year behind Stafford. Stafford will probably retire
Hmm.
after the 1 year that Manning sits behind. Is my kind of envision, but then the team's all his, you know. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's just thoughts. I mean, it's still a while away, but
Yeah,
it's kind of really all I
there's
have
still
on
a
that.
whole year of Rams football and college football to go on. So, we will get into that later in the season, maybe kind of towards draft season next year or yeah, around there. But yeah, that's gonna go ahead and do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 2 of that's gonna be a wrap for today. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of the Ramley. Make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. I'm Rams Nation. You can find him at Puka Nakua Lover 12 to stay updated on new episodes, Rams news, and more. We're also available now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you guys don't want to watch the whole YouTube video, or if you don't want to watch clips, feel free to just go ahead and listen to it on your free time with your headphones on, or, when you're on your downtime. So yeah, that's gonna be everything for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you in next week's episode. Thank you.